So thank you very much, Hanna, to coming to my podcast, Business Breakthroughs, all the way from USA. But in this DNA and age, we can connect virtually, which is so cool. So thank you for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about you? What is it you do? And then what message you would like to share on this podcast so we can get to know a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So I help leaders and organizations and with their personal goals to have that internal alignment for external execution, meaning that making sure their cup is full, battling the burnout. And with that, also making sure their teams are able to not only achieve the performance, the goals, but really the overall vision of the organization. So I do that through my HEART framework, which is a values-based leadership, internal alignment, which is using the BEAT method, in operational excellence, which is core. My background is a bit in, it's a black belt in Six Sigma, it's continuous improvement. So I'm very heavily data based, but I learned the lesson, can't go to the data and forget the person. So I became very human centric because when we talk about sustainability, it's about the human. So that's
Yes.
how I help, again, utilizing, implementing data for some of the teams that have a lot of data that are not using it, but that can help the humans. And there's the other side where there's a lot of humans. There's a lot of, hey, we get along great, but we really don't know what we're doing because they're missing the processes and the systems. So I help them identify the processes and the systems so they have a clarity in what the next step should be, especially when they're navigating ambiguity.
Mm-hmm. 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 Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing. Yeah, like you mentioned, it is when you mentioned about the burnout and helping the leaders or managing the teams. It's a person to person, so it needs to be that human touch. But also without the data, we couldn't track actually if there is any progress, if anything is happening. And then in anything, in business, fitness, whatever we do, if we don't measure, we don't manage, right? So it's definitely
We're scared
important.
to measure when we know we're not doing something about it. If you notice that, like, if you know, like when you're on a diet, you're like, yes, let me start measuring. But before that, like, I'm not going to check on that until I do something about it. Right. So that's where we get stuck too. Like, hey, I know it's there. I'm not looking at it. So, and that's where coaching comes in. We're going to take a look, but move from awareness into actual execution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting because I had actually today I shooted a podcast with someone else. She's from Germany, and we also spoke about burnout.
Okay. It's
So,
real.
yes.
The,
So,
the cool thing is that people are talking about it now. Before it was like, no, that means like, hey, max out. No, like, if it's in hurting, it's not doing anything. So that's I think that's the mentality, because having that, we're realizing, where is it leading us? It's leading us to having unfulfilled lives. It's leading us to having broken families, not being there, not being able to prioritize, and not really live out the things that we value because we're grew the grind. We've idolized the grind and the busyness. So that's why the burnout has been able to live and multiply.
how do people realize that they are experiencing burnout, or they are about to, or they are so much stressed? How do people know they are going through it so they can ask for that help? So they need now you to come in and do something about it. Like how people do it.
So there's two immediate things, right? Well, first of all, if you just in being human, if you have that dread in the morning, like not again, things I used to enjoy, that's a quick sign, right? Like the whole feeling of exhaustion, tiredness, that drained feeling, even on things that you're good, things that, hey, you normally like, it's no problem for me, but everything starts feeling like overwhelming and a weight. That's a great sign individually of I may need to be checking a bit more into this. Is that like, oh, I need to only sleep more, which probably is a part of it, because a lot of my high performers don't. Um, but taking that pause to listen and what's going on. Sometimes we're forced to pause with an illness. So even in the immune system takes a hit with the burnout. So you start looking for the person, but also an organization. If we're going to look at absenteeism, that starts telling you too. For an organization, when they're burnout, when you have the high turnover, when you have a lot of you got meeting after meeting after meeting because the last thing that we agreed on is not being followed, or we don't remember what is going on because it's so much of the input in an organization. What that starts happening is you have not only you have existing processes, you may even overcreate processes as a
Mhm.
response mechanism to the dysfunction that may be having internally to the very things that are simple for an organization to do. So that also goes again, both if you talk about from the individual, where then is multiplied at the now everybody experiencing that burnout at one time, and that's where the culture is impacted. So being able to measure the culture, what are you measuring in that the mission? KPIs are going to tell you as far as performance, but KPIs are your KPIs going to be able to catch these other human factor of how we're going to be able to meet the needs for belonging, the needs for satisfaction, the needs for purpose. And when we're not fulfilling that purpose, that in itself causes burnout. Another, for a person, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. The question is like,
Mm.
I don't know who I am. Or, my goodness, I was so busy today. I feel like I did so much, yet I don't know what I did at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely understand. And then would you say now with AI, of course, it's a big
Mm.
topic,
Yeah.
does people experience it even more? Because now you said the process is like now they are over processed, like I have this to focus on now and this focus on. And now AI is here. And then obviously the employers have said like, okay, now we have these new AI tools. I want you to use it. And people are like, oh, wow, now I need to entirely change everything what I do because now the AI can actually do it in a fragment of time. So I need to kind of redevelop. Do people now are more even stressed because of that?
Well, sure, because I mean, think about it. It's like you already have when things are good, or hey, we got money to pay the bills. Think about it like at home, you can tolerate certain level of discomfort. But now, when you're actually looking to do something, or think about when you have to leave the house, like I need to leave the house, I need to get my whole family ready. Maybe before, your family, you're hanging out. I mean, yeah, you're cleaning the house, you're doing the kitchen, you're doing things, and maybe everybody's not pitching in, but it's okay. But now we gotta get out of the house, we gotta get in a car, we gotta get somewhere. That's where all of a sudden all these things rise up, the things that weren't done, the people that don't want to go, all of these things, right? And then you add onto it a car that's going to get you super fast to the next destination. So that car and the transportation, now you have the same people inside this car, that if you didn't have the whole thing before, where we balanced out, where we're not tolerating, but perhaps we compromise on what needed to get done or what didn't need to get done in collaboration. Now you suddenly become into this dysfunction, super fast moving vehicle that can then, sometimes it causes accidents. Add that vehicle being misaligned. What happens when you speed up? The misalignment, well, it becomes, you start shaking, and not only the shaking, but even a slight little shift in the road where you're going, it can now become a potential accident, like huge accident. Look at the race cars. So what does AI do? AI, there's not a problem with that, is that it does help with the speed, but if you add that speed, that tool, into a already misaligned group, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to get you to that, not the destination you wanted. It's going to get you away from your destination that much faster. And that's where the burnout happens. The internal conflict of what I know I'm supposed to be doing, what we know we're about, yet our tools, without really understanding, are taking us in a way, and we don't even notice it. It's just, again, that misalignment. You add on to it speed, which is what
Mm-hmm.
AI does. It
Yeah.
takes you, if you're not clear, if you're not, again, alignment. So the problem is not like, hey, yeah, here's this new tool. But if already as an employee, I don't understand my role. If I already as an employee, I don't understand even what is the line of command, even in project management. If I don't understand the cross-functional groups, what each
Mm-hmm.
group, or who owns what, who do I go to, what is my authority, what's my responsibility in decision making, you add on a tool that it gives you all these answers, but you don't really have a clear view of governance. You can see how quickly the misalignment happens. Multiply that times everybody who's using this tool, you can see where you're getting, which is why we have 77% of the digital transformations, they fail. And it's not because
Mm-hmm.
they don't have the tool, it's because they don't have the people readiness to use this tool.
Yeah. 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 People need to have the basic first before they use any of these tools. And then if you would think about yourself, because obviously you have your own business. So how do you use AI in your own business?
Well, I use it again. I have a lot of things. I like, we have a lot of ideas. One of the things for me is it's been great for a think tank. It's been great for even looking at the different bodies of work that I can use for validation. Let me look a little bit more into this. It's helped me with testing, do some initial beta testing that maybe we have done before with people, but it has actually helped me speed up with my team doing some beta testing. Okay, what happens? Testing out some theories, start looking at what this theory may what is the pathway of this theory, and like, okay, let's go take it out. Where I have had to be careful is, again, I, I'm the driver. I'm the human. I have to understand my own governance and not, I think it's easy when you have a lot of things telling you, and even with my team, to try to take that's the truth or that's the thing. No, we still need the experience. We still need the expertise. And that's where I've had to become grow. So using AI tool has made me even that much more confident on what it is that I need to know. What is it that I bring to the table in combination with the AI tool? So I've gotten sharper in that, and that's how I help my team use it as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing. And then if I would go back to the, burnout, stress, what would be like, you mentioned like people can experience like exhaustion, tiredness. They are not getting, ready in the morning like they would do before, even if they're something they enjoy. What would be maybe, I don't know, a couple of tips people could do in order to go back on the track where they were? Like, would there be any kind of generic things, advice, which you're like, if you do maybe these 2 or 3 things that can help you? I'm not saying like it's going to be 100% will heal you, but like it can help you a bit, which if somebody is kind of experiencing that, they can maybe test it at home and like, yeah, I'll try it.
Yeah. No, I mean, actually, that's what I have the beat method for. So it's, I would say the first thing is one, being aware of that. Just even giving yourself permission to
That's,
ask.
that's the same as my other person says.
No
You
way.
need to you need to be aware. Okay,
I need to talk to your other person because it's like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah. Her name is
we
Hanna.
need to
Yeah,
connect.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, and honestly, that's with a lot of the things. That's a lot with the organizations and that, because I mean, I mean, I've been asking, what's the greatest mistake that the leader is making? Well, it's not asking that question. It's what's the mistake I'm making right now that I'm not looking into it. So, I think awareness is great. The problem is something that your audience needs to be looking at, is that sometimes we just leave it at that. We're satisfied with awareness. We love information. We like information. Hey, and then, yeah, I know that, or I know this. Okay, yeah, I'm aware with that. And then instead of like, okay, how is this impacting me? We start to learn to cope with it. We learn to manage it. We learn to disguise it. We might drink energy drinks to be able to get through the day. And hey, that's gonna compensate for whatever burnout I have. So we start being operationally functional in a dysfunctional time. So I would say it starts with awareness, but don't leave it there. It starts with permission, yeah, to ask that question, but what do I do? So where the first place I start is in your mindset, is your belief. That's the first step of beat. So what is your belief? Because something is driving this, right? So the fact that you can tell something's wrong, or maybe you're off or you're a bit flat, is because that's already creating conflict with something that you already know. Hey, I'm not usually like this. So what is my current belief? Well, how am I? What should my day be? If I wake up and I want to wake up all perky and fine, that's my belief. Okay, so let's look into that. If I'm like today feels off or not well, what is the belief that's impacting that? So let's be curious about that a bit. Testing the belief in that, being able to catch it is one of the most important things with awareness. Engagement. A lot of times I think even to the burnout, which is the second part in beat, that we need more things. Okay, if I just did this one more part, or if I can, once this is settled, or if I had this, or if I had the right money, if I had the right people, if I had the right connection, if I had all these things, then they're going to help me with whatever it is that I'm feeling, because I'm missing that. I've come to learn that it is not what we're missing, it's really how we are not engaging with what we already have. We don't have a lack of resources. We have a lack of leverage of the resources we have. And that's what engagement is about. I came to learn that, and this is where the beat method came from the hospital bed, because I couldn't move. As a kid, you want to explore your world. Well, I had to learn to explore my world without being able to move due to a heart disease. So engagement for me didn't look like, oh, exactly what is it I'm going to do, but engaging with whatever it is I had. Sometimes it was just a window outside. Sometimes it was just the trees I could look through. Sometimes it was whoever came in to see a card, whatever engagement I had to look at. But that forced me to not only reevaluate my belief, but then also it motivated me to the next step, which is act. Knowing that the smallest of action is going to trample the greatest of intention any day, at any moment. So the smallest of action doesn't have to be big things. Sometimes we overemphasize the impact of great big things, and we underestimate the importance of the small little things that compound over time. So that's where act comes in. It's like, what is one small part that I can do? Maybe it's a text, maybe it's a call, maybe it's getting outside, maybe it's taking a bit of fresh air, maybe it's getting under the sun for a bit. Just the smallest action. Yeah. And then transformation is, if I do this and then looking at the belief, is this, it's going to give me the transformation that I want. And that's going to go back to test my belief. So that's the internal alignment beat: believe, engage, act, transform.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Amazing. Yeah. It really reminded me a lot of things which I learned in the past few years when I was doing a lot of events with Tony Robbins, which obviously you know him because you are from USA. So yeah, I remember, and I use it also in my masterminds, like somebody, like you mentioned the first thing, like the people know it, but like intellectually, like you said, like people, they are just aware of these things. Let's say they know it. And I always have a fun with that, because when I have somebody on mastermind, they say like, we share something about whatever they should do. And they say, like, yeah, I know that. I'm like, no, you don't know that. And it's like, no, I know that. I'm like, no, you don't know that because you are not doing it. So once you start doing it, you really know it. If you are just know it intellectually, so that's not enough. So that was the one thing. And then you mentioned about the focus, and that's a big thing actually as well, because I started 6 years ago in real estate here in the UK. So it's for 8 years prior that I wanted to do it, but I was thinking what is focusing on what is missing, like you mentioned. And I was focusing like, I don't have any money, so how am I going to buy a property, right? How am I going to buy a house? So for 8 years I had that belief, but then I switched the belief thanks to Tony Robbins and Robert Kiyosaki and people like that. And then I was like, yeah, and it was about, no, how can I do it? Like, and now being more resourceful rather than focusing on my resources, and suddenly it works, right? So it's like you said, it's shifting that belief. It's a very important thing, because once we shift that, we can shift everything. So yeah, very good. And small actions, like, even the podcast like that, some people like, yeah, why to do a podcast? Like, why you do the hosting, or you come as a guest? Like, and then they don't realize, like, it's a small thing here, small thing there, and suddenly you shoot 50 podcasts a year, and then, and it's working.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how there's the compound effect, really, of the small actions, and everything counts. Everything has an impact.
Yeah. So, for example, yourself, do you go a lot? Because obviously do you go a lot as a guest on the podcast? Like, how many do you do? Like,
so this is my 104th since August.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you are really on it.
I'm on it because starting the conversation a lot. I find great people like you, experts. I love that. I come to learn that a lot of the people that podcast, they're also very passionate people. They believe in what they do, which is amazing, right? Especially with people now, and they're not afraid to open up a platform and have to tough conversations. I mean, believe it or not, people don't really like to talk about love in the business. So my transformation is transformation through love and excellence. So finding the other courageous people that are willing to say, like, yeah, we need a bit of love. If we're asking our leaders to produce things that love does, then we do need to understand, how does love play a role in business. So I've come to find the podcasters to be quite courageous, and my people, really, because you're actually out there doing the thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for example, if because for me, the podcast, it's obviously there's multiple things. Like one thing is to finding out what the other person is doing, sharing their message, but also trying to figure it out if there is anything else I can help that person. And like, for example, what is it like? Are you looking for just to be speaking in USA and going to those companies? Are you thinking worldwide? What is it you do? Are you a member of, I don't know, you have in USA speaking NSA, for example. I'm in here in UK PSA. Is there any, because I'm just trying to always find out, like, what is it you are after? If I can maybe think of someone maybe to connect you with or something like that as well, to see what else can be done, just it doesn't say only on the podcast.
I mean, the reason I want to get on the podcast is one to expose the methodology, talk about the frameworks, understand the problem, right, and then also the solution that I bring. But this is how I also get my customers, my clients, because people that it resonates with, and I go into organizations and actually do the work. So that I'm looking for transformation engagements, and transformation is not like a one-off. I mean, workshops may be a part of it, speaking is a part of it, but you understand it's a cross functional prevention. So I help with the diagnosis. So really, what am I doing? I mean, I want to see hard dynamics in every organization. So I've been able to do work outside. Actually, I'm about to do a international speaking engagement with a lot of organizations next month. So that's part of how I serve, but also I want to get into the organizations because I want to provide leaders with that breathing, that ability to be paused and enjoy what leadership is. Really, what I'm looking for is decreasing the loss of human potential. And I just see the acceleration of the human potential being lost so much more to tools and not honoring the humans. So I believe good workplaces also help to have good, healthy families. And I'm looking at impacting that unit. So clients, opportunities to speak, being able to get in their diagnostics, assessments is what I do.
Is there like a specific industry you focus on if you go to those companies?
So no, I don't focus. The reason I don't focus specific on industry, but I can tell you the industry that respond most to my message, which is what I'm about to do, is the manufacturers, the manufacturing companies, education, because education, I've been a publisher for about 18 years. And the other part is technology and fintech. The reason being because they're going through a lot of disruption. So I specialize again in the crisis and disruption, having been an entrepreneur going through disruption myself. But also that's where my whole theory with the heart attacks. I lived as a kid in a matter of disruption. So the ones that are attracted to my message are industries that may be facing disruption at that time. I mean, everybody kind of is right now, honestly. Education, because of my background, and health because of my health story, which also helps bring the humanity aspect to the patient doctor relationship.
Amazing, perfect. That's very good. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you shared a lot. You speak very fast. You know that?
Ah, probably the Latin in me.
You are like I know some of the podcasts are shorter. Like I am going for as a guest on one. Somebody approached me and he says like this is like a short one. It's like 20 minutes. So and I'm like, oh wow, great. So I need to really speak fast probably or something like I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
I know my stuff. That's the one thing I think I realized with the podcasters is like, I'm not reading my things. I'm not looking at what is the AI or whatever saying. I mean, that's what makes me different. I'm not a theorist. I'm a practitioner. And when you carry those scars, they're not meant to be forgotten. They're meant to be honored.
Absolutely. I always ask this almost at the end of the podcast. Always is obviously because you are an entrepreneur for a long time. You overcome a lot of different things. So can you share? You don't need to share specifically what happened, but if you've been in a position where it was really tough, you feel down, you maybe even give up and like not do it, and you don't need to share that thing, but what helped you to overcome it? Like what thing did you do? I don't know, what did you do to kind of overcome it? And it could be multiple things. I always ask people because people are in those stages right now. They are feeling down. They are feeling about giving up. So, and everybody resonates with a different message. So I'll be curious.
Well, I would like to stock a specific message on that one because I think that will give it context in the sense that, like I mentioned, I have become very familiar with uncertainty because of my own personal struggles with a heart disease. But at the entrepreneur set, basically we encounter a heart attack. And yes, like just like everybody, it's discouraging when your phones aren't ringing, when you've had to let go of 60% of your workforce, which I had to do due to the Great Recession. And that at that point, I was not feeling well about myself. But not only that is because of all this massive amount of change that was happening outside, it honestly felt like we were just like sitting ducks for when the closing of our doors was going to be. And I decided one morning to walk the room. I decided to walk the places, in a sense, just looking around, by basically looking at who did I have left. And I do remember it took that from me. But in my walking, that again made the silence even more louder. In my walking, when I went into our manufacturing facility, I saw this one employee that was so engaged in his work. And he was obviously facing the same things. And not only was he facing the same things, but he was really the one who had felt the most pain, because if you're not producing, you're not selling, well, manufacturing, those machines are not working. So when I saw him, he saw me, and he would just went, Miss Hannah, I have something to share with you. And running over, again, a frontline manufacturing worker, to share with excitement how courageous he felt, how proud he felt of the work he did, because his son, for the first time, has shared with him how proud he was of him because of our materials were in his classroom, and how he and his company were helping to teach them and learn in the classroom.
Oh, very good.
At that point, I saw in him the very thing I was lacking myself. I was in a position to make a decision. I was the leader. He was somebody who had basically received at the end, right, receiving the impact of my decisions. And yet he had the key to what I needed. What was that? Hope. Realizing that he had hope, and he understood that we still had a place, even in a moment of disruption, because he understood what it was that we did. So for me, that's where I realized, one, I had to be listening. I had to walk the room. I had to go back to every part. I couldn't just stay in my office, try to figure out. That was not where the solutions were going to come from. My solutions were going to come from being with my people, being the ones that were in the front line. But the other part, I did have to listen. And I did have to be humble enough to understand what is it that they had, honor that very that very person that really had the key to everything else we needed. So I grabbed onto that hope, because hope is the catalyst of action. You not taking action is not necessarily because, oh, I just don't know what to do. It's a matter of hope. So once I got aligned with that hope, and I understood what is it that made us, what was our moat, right? What was it that make us go? Then I was able to then guide and help the rest of my team to do the same thing. But it took humbleness, it took walking the room, and it took being able to listen and being open to hope.
Yes, absolutely. And now on that, I can only say, make the force be with you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, that's very good, Hanna. Thank you very much for sharing all of that. It was very, very good to listen to you. I can see that you are obviously a very, like, lovely person, engaging, and working with you. I think the companies or the people you work with, like, they have a privilege, because you can see, like, you have a big passion inside of you to share that message. That's why in not even a year you've done 104 podcasts.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a big achievement. Six. You are saying about small action, but you take a lot of action. So that's a big action. So that's very good. So very good to meeting you. So thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.